Welcome to the Wonder With Me podcast, where I, Dr. Tonia Winchester, invite you to get curious with me about all things mind-body healing, especially how we can unlock the incredible healing power of our unconscious minds, so that we can all get out of stress mode and go back into healing mode. We'll talk about how you can easily create healthy, sustainable self-care habits so that you can calm your mind, sleep deeply, wake rested, and enjoy happy, energized days. Ultimately, so that you can make a bigger difference in your well-being and that of your family and the world around you. These casual chats are for educational purposes only and don't constitute a therapeutic relationship. With all that said, let's get this episode underway. Come wonder with me. Hey there, and welcome back to another episode of the Wonder With Me podcast. I am your host, Dr. and our coach, Tonia Winchester, and this is episode 40. What if that one bad thing was gone? In this episode, I'm going to speak very candidly and personally about something that has changed in my habits. There was a particular behavior that wasn't great, helpful, or productive, and in fact hindered my progress in a lot of ways. And now it's gone. I'm going to talk about what it was, why it's gone, and how you too can help these types of habits disappear. So with all of that being said, let's just get into this. Let's get wondering. So imagine, if you will, that there's something that you have, that you do, I should say, something that you do that you know isn't great. It's a habit, it's a practice, it's a behavior that you kind of wish you didn't do. It's something that maybe you feel a lot of shame around, like you don't want to talk about the habit with people. Maybe you have a lot of guilt around, like you know it's really not good. And when you do it, you promise that you're never going to do it again. But of course you do it again and you go into the same cycle and the same loop of feeling terrible and promising that you're never going to do it again. Maybe this habit is something in your health. Maybe it's a habit that blocks your health or well-being in some way. Maybe it's a vice of some kind. But whatever it is, to any degree, it's causing some sort of discomfort or disruption in your life. Now, imagine, if you will, that one day that habit, that behavior, that practice was just gone. And it's not like you had to effort it to go away or willed it to go away or really just ignoring it and it's still there, but it's actually gone. What would be different for you? I'm curious about this because recently I have relinquished an old, unproductive, very unhelpful habit just like that. I am so excited about how easy it was, how it involved no willpower whatsoever, how I literally just woke up one day and thought, oh my gosh, I haven't done that thing for a number of days, and actually looking at the calendar, a number of weeks. I'm going to start in the middle of the story. So in June of 2024, I took a new therapeutic clinical training program wherein I learned this really neat modality of helping people who are stuck in any area of their life, whether they feel like they're hitting their head up against a brick wall, if they're stuck in a ditch or some sort of pit, or maybe they just feel like they're circling the drain and not making any traction, or maybe they feel like they're at a crossroads and they just don't know which path to take and they're at a standstill. I've learned how to help people with those types of stucknesses. Historically, in my career path, I often sign up for something, a new training as an example, without actually having any personal experience with that thing as a patient or a client. This was true, believe it or not, for naturopathic medicine. I had never seen a naturopathic doctor before I went to naturopathic college. This was true for me in a mind-body energy healing tool called Body Talk. I had never had a Body Talk session before I became a Body Talk practitioner. This was true for me becoming an NLP master practitioner. I had never had any kind of NLP work done before. And it's very true in this new internal communication-based work that I'm describing here today. Yes, I know I'm being very Quentin Tarantino as I'm telling this story. I found myself in this particular training program because one day while cleaning out my checkout one day file on my desktop, aka the place where I just dump things that I don't want to look at right now, I found this PDF. And I have no idea where it came from, which version of Past Tonia said, yes, I'm going to download this 20-page PDF and never look at it. I don't know when or where it came from, but there it was. And the name of it intrigued me. And I read this PDF and I was just like, oh my gosh, I feel like this is the thing I've been missing in my life, in my practice, in my coaching. I immediately went online to find out when and where I could learn more. Lo and behold, live training being offered in June, every day in June pretty much from 6 to 8 a.m. because the teacher was in the UK. And I signed up right away. So another example of me diving into something without actually having clinical personal experience of the thing. Side note, this is actually a characteristic of extroverts, which I do rank high for in most contexts. Extroverts like to do the thing first and then debrief about it, whereas introverts like to really think things through before they take an action. So just a little side note, if you happen to be one or the other and in a partnership with the person who's opposite you, like I am in 2 primary relationships in my life, there has to be an understanding about this. Okay, squirrel tangent over, back to the Tarantino story. Here I am in this class in June, not really having a clue what to expect, to be honest. This work is content-free, which I love, so I, as the practitioner, don't have to know what the problem state is to be able to help people with the problem state. Very refreshing for both parties. This first class, the teacher asked for a demo subject, someone he had not worked with before, and I readily put up my hand. He didn't know or ask or really probably care what I was bringing forth as a problem for this demonstration. But I brought forth probably one of the biggest things that I felt in my life at the time was causing me a lot of stress, struggle, and strife. What happened next was absolutely just mind-blowing. He did the work of asking me what this problem was like, and I shared what it was like inside. And after asking me some very specific questions about the details of what it was like inside, he rattled back to me everything that I have been lying to myself, afraid to show to anybody. Essentially some truths about myself that I was refusing to look at, acknowledge, and take responsibility for. I was floored. It was like he was inside my mind. No, it wasn't like he was inside my mind. It was like he was inside the box, locked with the key, behind the guard dog, behind the barbed wire fence, inside my mind. Like, how did he call out all of those things after maybe 2 minutes of asking me questions? And that was it. And each class, when we learned another layer of this training and of this work, he would go back to this original internal experience of mine and express to the class how what we just learned applies to this and what we can derive out of Tonia's experience, da-da-da-da-da. Nothing else really was happening, except every time he spoke and said something new about what he had elicited from me, I felt more and more shifts happening inside, and it felt like something or some things were finally starting to understand each other. And that's exactly what this new work does. If we can imagine that there's 2 parts of our minds, which I've discussed many times on this podcast. There's the unconscious mind, which we don't have access to consciously, and then there's the conscious mind. We can also think of this like the right hemisphere or the left hemisphere. Now, that's a bit of an outdated way to talk about this because these functions don't happen on one side of the brain versus the other. They're happening kind of on both sides, but we can symbolically talk about them as if it's right and left. The problem with these 2 aspects of our mind, the unconscious and the conscious, is that they speak different languages. The conscious mind speaks in words and thoughts and language-based communication, whereas the unconscious mind or the right hemisphere speaks in images, in symbols, in body sensations. And there's no translator inside the body. So the left brain, the left hemisphere is saying, don't be anxious. And the right hemisphere is saying, are you kidding? I have everything to be anxious about, except it's saying it with anxiety. It's saying it with the sweaty palms or the racing heart or the sick stomach or the disordered sleep patterns. They're not communicating effectively, and there's no translator. So when I say it felt like there was shifts happening inside, what I intellectually know was happening is that as the teacher was calling out these truths about myself that I hadn't been listening to, and finally putting it in a way that my conscious mind could understand because of the language that he was using, it was like my unconscious mind was like, finally, she's paying attention. And for the first time in decades around this particular issue that I brought to that demonstration, there was some holism happening. Integration. Parts working together. And in this very insidious, gradual way, change was happening at a microscopic level, unnoticeable until it was overtly noticeable. Imagine starting to play a stereo, but the volume is completely down, and as you turn up the dial, you might not hear it right away, but eventually, yes, there it is. There's the song that you're wanting to hear. Suddenly, it was there. It was right in front of me. This behavior, this problem behavior, which was not good. I am going to tell you what it is, by the way. I realized about halfway through this training, having only these experiences of being this demo subject for the teacher and also practicing with my classmates, I realized the habit was just gone. And the cool thing about this habit was I was able to identify exactly the last time it happened because it was about spending. It was about spending far too much money on clothes. Now, there's nothing wrong with buying clothes. For me, though, I was exceeding what I had available to me to buy clothes. I was debting to buy new clothes, and I would give myself these very, very enticing excuses like, I've lost 50 pounds. I mean, released, if you've listened to earlier podcasts. I've released 50 pounds. Of course I need to buy new clothes. I need something new in every season and lots of new things. Hello. Incorrect. How do I know this behavior was a problem? Because I was hiding the behavior. The fact that I'm even putting this out into public tells you how healed this problem is. It was definitely my checkout, escape, overload, scroll behavior. Go to my favorite website, add to cart, don't buy. This internal struggle, I'll just save it for later. A couple days go by, can't stop thinking about what's in the cart. Okay, fine, I'll just buy them. And then it was the manipulation of when I'm going to get to the mailbox. Hopefully I do that before my husband gets there so he doesn't know that I've bought new things. And oh gosh, he's home. I have to hide things in the car before I bring them into the house when I know he's going to be out of the house and da. These are not healthy behaviors. And it was middle of June when I realized that I hadn't done any of those things since May 14th. Effectively, I had 1 month sobriety of my spending habit without trying or consciously intending or having to use willpower in any way or being in the struggle loop. Any of it. It was gone. Talking to one of the women that I use as a support system, a mentor of mine, she said, well, what did you replace the behavior with? And I said, no, nothing. It's just gone. I don't have a void inside. I feel quite full, actually. And I mean that on all levels, literally, metaphorically, figuratively. This teacher did not give me any advice. This teacher did not tell me what I should or shouldn't do. This teacher did not tell me where I should change my value systems and how I should align and blah, blah, blah. No, he just fed back to me the truth about my experience, which I had been ignoring for so long. And poof. Habit disappeared. And I have tested this. I have put myself in scenarios where that behavior would have happened automatically. I have gone to the website and I find myself going, meh, don't care. I have driven by a shop window. Oh, what a cute little item. Pulled over, parked, went into the store, went in and I was like, nope, don't want to be here. Was on a family vacation. We went shopping as a thing to do. Nope, nothing of interest. Don't want to buy anything. Out with friends, talking about this new training that I'm talking to you about right now, and all of us getting really excited about it. My husband there in the room, and I tell this story for the first time ever admitting to my husband that this has ever been a problem. This is true confessions. And again, if this thing was still a problem for me, I would not be talking about this. So now we're coming up to actually the day that this podcast is going to be released marks 3 months sober from that spending behavior. Without steps, without support groups, without anything, just this internal cohesion and integration that's happened simply from being a demo subject in this program. The day before recording this podcast, a girlfriend and I met after work, and we first went into a little cafe to maybe get a nice iced tea, like an actual tea that's been put on ice because it was 30 degrees outside. And the people in the cafe said they weren't supposed to do that, which is a very big question mark in my mind, and that is definitely an aside. So we left, and I said, what are we going to do? Since we kind of wanted to get out of the heat, and she said, why don't we shop around? We can pop into stores and access some AC on the way. Cool. I'm super curious to see how this goes. Now, in every store that we went into, I tried something on. And in every instance, I was like, no, don't want it. The very final place that we went into is this incredibly delicious shoe store. Hamana Hamana, am I right? And they were having a summer clearance sale, and there were these lilac suede bootlets with a little bow and a funky, chunky brown heel. And they were my size and fit like a dream and were actually comfortable to strut around in. And 5 women in the store, 4 working there, and my friend were all like, girl, you have to get those. And previous to May 14th, that version of Tonia would have been like, yeah, I can figure this out. I can make this work. And that day, Tonia, though, was like, nah, I'm good. And then I admitted to these women, my friend who I've known for a very long time, and all of these women who I don't know, I was like, you know what? I'm actually on a spending sobriety spree. I'm going to see how long I go for. I very much appreciate how I just said the word spree, like a shopping spree, but except now it's a sobriety spree. Love, love, love. And so, like I say, the behavior is just gone. And then, providing me even more evidence that the shame of it is gone, after that adventure, when I came home, my husband and I were catching up about our days, and I was like, you know how I've been sober from spending on clothes since May 14th? And he said, until today? And I was like, no. And I told him the story that I just told you about the adorable shoes that I did not buy because I didn't care to. And I'm so excited and inspired about this because I know that people have problems like this. Maybe not spending. Maybe it's weed or drinking or sex or gambling or scrolling or binging or whatever it is. I know that these things that we do out of habit and also for other reasons like escape, checking out, numbing, or the opposite, feeling something, getting a rush, whatever the hit is that we need, these problems affect ourselves, our well-being, our health. They affect our relationships with people. They affect our financial relationships. That was definitely my experience. They affect everything, or at least have the potential to do so. Oh, and there's none of that neurobiological chemical agitation inside. In all of those environments that I put myself in purposefully, I didn't have that charge inside, that electricity, that dopamine pending, come on, give me the payout, kind of roll the lucky dice, win feeling. It hasn't been there. It is just gone. So I am wondering if this is something that you need help with. I'm so excited about offering this opportunity to do this change work in a way that's actually quite fun, lighthearted, enjoyable. There's pictures. Just to see, like, why not? What do you have to lose? Besides the habit that could be affecting multiple areas of your life. Of course, I can't make any guarantees about anything. That's not how change work works. I have noticed other personal shifts that I am still sort of sussing out what they look like and what they mean. I am doing this work with clients. The work is called Shift. That's my name for it anyways. They're 75-minute sessions, content-free, fun, enjoyable hour and 15 minutes where we draw some pictures, give your two hemispheres or your unconscious and your conscious mind the opportunity to listen to each other, to translate what each other is saying, and ultimately shift your perspective, offer you a new position from which to experience this. And from that new position, change happens. You can find information about this work at coach.toniawinchester.com/shift. There's a chatbot at the bottom of that webpage. You can reach out to us. Me or my assistant will get back to you. And let's set something up. These can be done as a single session. I also have packages where if you buy 4 sessions, you save $100. That's available as well. So that's what I wanted to share. I wanted to share the story in a convoluted way of how my vice disappeared. And I'm inviting you to consider the places in your life where you're stuck in patterns and habits and behaviors that you don't want to be stuck in. Reach out. Let's connect. Let's shift. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being witness to my expose. Again, this is something that I never, ever would have talked about publicly, let alone to the people that are close to me. So the fact that I'm doing that really exemplifies how much has shifted inside, and the external behavior has shifted as well. So may you choose to make all of your dreams come true. Hey, thanks for wondering with me today. If you've got something good out of this, then please forward this episode along to the people who you know could benefit. Be sure to subscribe, and if you're really keen, you leaving us a rating and review helps us to help more people, so thank you in advance for that. If you're wanting more insights about how you can leverage the power of your unconscious mind to go back into healing mode, head on over to toniawinchester.com, where you'll find my book, Breakthrough the Insomnia Cycle, and other helpful ideas. Thanks again, and we'll connect on the next episode of the Wonder With Me podcast. In the meantime, may you choose to make all of your dreams come true.